on bypassing versus embodiment for empaths. And so come on in and coming in and coming in. Happy Friday to you wherever you are. Come on in, come on in. Welcome. Today we're completing the trilogy on the nexus between bypassing versus embodiment. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay on Instagram? Just make sure you can hear me. On Instagram, are you able to hear me okay? And if you can't, just let me know and we'll fix the technical difficulties here. But if you can hear me, let me know if you can hear me. Today we're completing the trilogy on bypassing versus embodiment. Oh, wow. Can't hear me. That's strange. Let's see. How about now? How about now? Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? How about now? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Anyone on Instagram, let me know if you can hear me. I know on some of the others might be of a challenge, but let me know if you can hear me okay. And if you can't, we'll figure it out here. But today we're completing the trilogy on empaths, embodying versus bypassing. Thank you, Miss Wonder Woman. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for confirming. I'm not sure if the folks on Instagram can hear me. Maybe end it and restart. That might do it. Let's see. Discord. Let's try it again on Instagram. Can you hear me okay? Public. Next. And we're going to try this again. Copy for Instagram. And stream. Today we're completing the trilogy, greetings, the trilogy on bypassing. So that's what we're going into today, the trilogy on bypassing, empaths, embodiment versus bypassing, embodiment versus bypassing. So tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. This is what we're going to be focused on today, just fixing some of the challenges with Instagram. For those on Instagram, just bear with me just a moment. I'm not in my usual location. So we're going to try this again and see if it helps. And if you can hear me, let me know if you can hear me on Instagram. Let us know if you can hear us. And maybe Instagram's not going to work today, so perhaps I just focus on what works. So let me begin. First of all, we now understand very clearly that bypassing is what keeps us stuck in our shadow selves. And if you're really looking to ascend, then bypassing has to be something that is converted into embodiment. And embodiment happens only if you stop gaslighting yourself. And what is? There's a big difference between what is and what you think is. And embodiment is the ability to begin to see what is versus what you think is, right? So let's get started here. We've learned that bypassing is the mind's flight from pain, whereas embodiment is a soul's descent into wholeness. But there's one more step, actually. Embodiment is not just psychological healing. Of course, we release the illusions, Don Marie. Embodiment is cosmic engineering. Embodiment is cosmic engineering. Let me explain. Embodiment, when you actually do it, changes the physics of your body. Embodiment changes the information in your cells. Therefore, when you've changed internally, then the probabilities that shape your life also change. Because remember, life is simply a mirror, mirroring onto us exactly what's going on with us consciously, subconsciously, and unconsciously. So we realize that when consciousness integrates with matter, matter reorganizes itself. I was talking to a client this morning who 2 weeks ago realized that they wanted to step into a bigger consortium realities because they didn't enjoy just sort of being this person who told people what to do. They wanted to be with other people who were at the same level as them. And once they understood that their role is not to lead followers, but to work as a king among kings, that's how they started to shift in their lived experience because they understood who they were. So every emotion you feel is a frequency. Physics calls it energy in motion, energy in motion. Biology calls it neurochemical signaling. But spiritually, this is all vibration. So when you suppress emotion, when you suppress emotions within you, especially negative emotions that you're afraid to deal with, energy stagnates. Conversely, when you feel emotions consciously, is how you transmute it. And what I'm talking about is emotions that are linked to our traumas, whether it's the fear of not being enough, or being afraid to look at your bank account, or being afraid to open yourself up to love and relationships, or being afraid to take the steps you need to improve your life, or being afraid to take that trip by yourself. When you feel these emotions and allow yourself to see the truth of those emotions, what those emotions have done to you, is how you alchemize and transmute those feelings. So I'm going to give you the proof of what I'm just saying. From a neuroscientific perspective, a researcher called Candace Pert discovered that emotions are stored in the receptor sites in our cells, at a cellular level, at the atomic level. Therefore, unfelt emotions literally block cellular communication. But when an emotion is acknowledged, those receptors reset and the proteins fold correctly and the cell returns to electrical coherence. The point is, your feelings dictate you in every way, Ellie, Natasha, Damogam. This is what happens. Greetings to you, Global. How you doing? It's been a minute. You see? So when you refuse to feel feelings, you're actually creating an energetic backlog in yourself. This is why you feel bad. So in simple terms, feeling is molecular intelligence. Allowing yourself to feel is actually healing yourself at the cellular level. So when you embody, meaning when you breathe, when you cry, when you tremble, when you release, you're not being dramatic. You're rewriting your biology in real time. So case in point, I couldn't be sitting here with you today, and I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania today, which is why my surroundings look different. I could not be sitting here with you today without having so many sleepless nights, nights where I've cried with phlegm everywhere. And, just imagine a middle-aged grown-up man crying like a baby. And I'm 6'5". Why did that happen? Why were they so mean? That was me. Not that long ago. And in doing so, I was able to release my identity with my pain. So I'm going to say this again. When you embody, and T, well, what is so funny, T? What are you laughing at? I'm confused, T, unless I'm misreading you. Is this your experience too? When you embody, when you breathe, when you cry, when you tremble, when you release, you're not being dramatic. You're rewriting your biology in real time. Now, let me go even further. So a number of you are familiar with the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, particularly on gene expression and so forth. What he found is that genes are not destiny. The genes in your body, your genes you inherited from your parents, are responders, meaning your emotional environment and your inner chemistry turns genes on or off. Oh, T, this is exactly it. I cried like really badly to release. Can you imagine? I'm not making fun. You see? So chronic fear or shame activates genes linked to inflammation and aging. Similarly, or conversely, Coherence, gratitude, and love activate genes for growth and repair. So when you see people who have healed, they look nice. They look like they've lost weight. They look like their skin is shining. They look like their hair is shining. And a lot of you have experienced this is why. So let me go even further, because coherence and gratitude and love activate growth and repair. That's epigenetics. And epigenetics is a study of how consciousness edits the genome in you. So embodiment isn't just staying grounded, it's about sending a new energetic instruction to your DNA, where you are saying, I am safe now. I can evolve now. And when an empath stops bypassing and fully inhabits the body, the empath's DNA literally begins to express a new self. And that's not a metaphor, that's quantum biology. When a person changes, you see, when you change from being able to see what is and transmute it into what should be or what should be, this is what happens, T. And if I'm talking to you, let me know I'm talking to you. I don't want to just be talking to myself. If I'm talking to you, type transform in the comments. It doesn't matter how many of us are here. So let me keep going. When you go further into this, particularly the heart center, thank you, Janet, you realize that the heart releases and emits a toroidal electromagnetic, this is related to the torus field around you, a toroidal electromagnetic field that extends everywhere around you, which is why when you meet people, thank you, Miss Wonder Woman T, when you meet people, you get the energy and say, I like this person, I don't like this person. And when your field is coherent and grounded, like now, just check your heartbeat, Kayla. Are you beating in rhythm or are you anxious? And when you're beating in rhythm, you are in touch with the Earth's own heartbeat. I talked about this on Wednesday, the Schumann resonance. This is what David Bohm talks about when he describes reality as a holographic field of information. Everything is a mirror, Kayla. Everything is a mirror. Every coherent heart adds to that field. That's why one calm, embodied person can stabilize a room full of chaos. In the same way, one very negative, toxic person can destroy a beautiful, coherent atmosphere if there is no consciousness. Brittany, Damalgam. So again, I'm not in my usual environment, so there's no music and all that, but that's okay. We're still rolling and flowing. So the reality is, what I just described to you, although it's magic, it's really field resonance, because when you embody truth and embody your own shadows, you're not just healing yourself, you're contributing data to the planet's collective resonance. You become a live tuning fork. Now, ancient alchemists have already said that chaos leads to kind of the solve a coagula, Latin, meaning dissolve and recombine. Dissolve and recombine. So chaos theory says the same thing. Systems reorganize into higher order after perturbation. So your breakdowns, your dark nights, your shaking, these are all perturbations, disturbances in the human energy field. They look like disorder, but they're actually repatterning you to coherence. And at the edge of chaos, all the chaos you've experienced in narcissistic abuse and manipulation and gaslighting and gang stalking, that out of that chaos comes a new order. This is how galaxies form. I'm talking to you about science. This is how neurons create new pathways. And ultimately, this is how souls evolve from dark to light. So when you stop running from the fire, you discover that the fire is intelligence itself. You see, this is what the Bobo Ashanti talk about: more fire. More fire. So when you look at this from a mystical perspective, in the Christian cosmology, it is said that the resurrection is not escape from the body. It's light through flesh, Damalgam. In Buddhism, the Buddha's enlightenment under the Bodhi tree happened in a nervous system, not in the sky. It happened in the Buddha's body. In Hindu Tantra, the Kundalini ascent and descent balance heaven and earth inside the spine. That's where the Kundalini happens, in your body. And Rumi often said, from a Sufi mystic perspective, that the wound is the place where the light enters you. So today, neuroscience calls this wound neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to grow through experience. Same truth, different vocabulary. So science and spirituality are not opposites. They are two languages describing the same field of transformation. In the same way, the internet or the World Wide Web is based off the technology of a spider's web, but you knew that. In the same way, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are based off ESP and electrical connections that you cannot see. So again, science and spirituality are not opposites. They are languages describing the same field of transformation. Now, when we go into kind of what this means for us in 2025 and beyond, what is happening in our lived experience is we are evolving towards a more coherent nervous system collectively for those who are tuning in. And the Schumann frequency spikes mirrors in the brain's gamma wave state. That's the frequency of unity consciousness. So those who remain fragmented or disembodied will experience turbulence, lightning, fire, and thunder, sleeplessness, overstimulation, existential anxiety, anger, fear, racism. But those who embody and do not bypass will experience expansion, clarity, intuitive intelligence, deep calm. So heaven and earth will be right here on this terra firma. That's the new earth. And it all depends on which frequency you're tied to. And the frequency you're tied to is based on whether you bypass or whether you embody. That's the math. This is in prophecy. This is physics. The planet's frequency is rising, and the human instrument must be tuned to match, because embodiment is a tuning process. And if anything I'm saying here connects with you, type transform in the comment section, or reach out and book a free session on my website, innermileage.com. So how do you embody in real time? Well, we can talk one-on-one about your specific context, right, Dawn Marie? But if you want to go into details, I'll give you a few tips. First, it's important to observe without escaping, meaning the moment discomfort arises, Kayla, stay, don't run. Don't run from discomfort, the difficult conversation, all that. Because observation is what collapses the wave, and feeling becomes transformation. Regulate the breath. I don't know how else to say this except the way I'm saying it, but it's probably the most important thing I'm saying today. The regulation of the breath. Like now, wherever you are on this planet, are you breathing? And are you breathing consciously? Are you also aware that breathing is happening with or without you? Because when you inhale and exhale evenly, you're training the heart and the brain to establish coherence. This can be measured in MRI studies. The breath is everything, Diane. Another thing that's important is grounding. Whatever grounds you. It's not just walking bare feet on the earth, but staying grounded. And one way you can actually stay grounded is right now, wherever you are on the planet. It's 12:16 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:16 a.m. Pacific Time, right? 11:16 a.m. Central Time, wherever you are in the world right now. Just stop what you're doing and affirm to yourself, I am here. I exist. I am here. I actually exist. That's how you ground yourself. Then it's important to express energy somatically, whether it's sound, which is why we play a lot of music, although I don't have any music today. But I am the music just like you. It's movement, dancing, running, yoga. It is tears, like I described at the beginning. It is laughter. Can you make yourself laugh? Can you make yourself laugh? That is yogic laughter. Doesn't matter what happens, I laugh. And here I'm channeling the spirit of Dr. Maya Angelou. And when you're able to do that, when you're able to express your energy, hey, I'm laughing now. Diane. When you're able to express this energy through sound, through movement, through tears and laughter, these are the languages of release. These are the languages of release. Expression completes the alchemical reaction. Live free cat. Expression does that. Happy Friday, fun day. You see? And then when you're able to do that, you can serve the field where you use your embodied state in relationships, in your work, in your creativity. It's all in us. And embodiment thus becomes contagious. Your nervous system becomes medicine for others, directly and indirectly. It's kind of like the Bodhisattva vow in Buddhism. And the Bodhisattva vow, which I adhere to, says, I'll repeat what I can remember now. Here's how it goes. Sentient beings are innumerable. I vow to save them all. Truth, or the Dharmas, are inexhaustible. I vow to master it all. Can you imagine taking this vow every day? This is how you get to the point of embodiment becoming service. So when you move from bypassing hides you from reality. Embodiment is how you create your reality, not someone else's reality. Because when you are fully present, your electromagnetic field aligns with the geometry of the quantum vacuum, meaning that you start to collapse probabilities into form. That is manifestation. So I know you've heard a lot about manifestation and you've read about manifestation videos and such. The reason you cannot manifest fully the things you want, which is why you manifest the things you don't want, is because you're not embodied. So when you're not embodied, your mind state and attention are consumed by the things you don't want. Then guess what you manifest? The things you don't want. That's mathematics. So when you're fully present, the law of attraction only works when you're fully embodied. The law of attraction to get what you want, the happiness, the finances, the purpose, the soul tribe, the health, the joy, the home, the children, the husband, the wife, the partner, the business deal, the promotion. The law of attraction only works when you are embodied. Otherwise, you are attracting things you don't want, which is also still law. Because until your body agrees, your vibration is divided. Integration equals manifestation. So what am I trying to say? At the deepest level, matter is slowed down light. This is what David Bohm, who I quoted earlier, said. It is a replication of implicate order, a hidden intelligence that unfolds itself into space and time. So when you embody, you allow that order of light, slow down light, to become conscious in you. Because remember, after all, you and I are made up of carbon and stardust, just like the stars in the sky. This is not euphemism. This is not woo-woo talk. This is truth. How can you recreate our own self-image? By knowing the truth of who you are. So like I was just saying, Sierra, I know for a fact that I'm made out of carbon and stardust. So when somebody thinks of anything other than carbon and stardust, how is that my business? Another thing, when I was going through my own healing journey, I was stuck in hermit mode thinking the world had forgotten me. But hermit mode is how you start to create the relationship between yourself and you into a place of self-validation so you're not dependent on the validation of others. Am I answering your question, Sierra Summers? This is how you recreate yourself, by being the judge and jury of yourself, not offshoring who you are to someone else. I had a client who would often say, I don't see myself. I can only see myself when other people see me. Now, when you think about this from quantum physics says nothing exists until you look at it, right? So what she was saying was, I don't exist until other people affirm me. So when you do that, what you are outsourcing is your self-efficacy to another person. But hermit mode allows you to do the same for yourself. So you realize that when you embody, you allow that conscious order to come manifest in you. You remember that every atom in your body once existed in a star. You are literally the cosmos remembering itself. If you can tune into that frequency, that's reality. So you know that embodiment is not personal. It's a cosmic remembrance, a cosmic recollection. It's the divine remembering what it feels like to be human. Come on, somebody tell me I'm talking to you. And if I'm talking to you, type transform in the comment section. If I'm talking to you, type transform in the comment section. Let me say what I just said again. When you embody, you allow the reality that you are part of the conscious order to become conscious. You remember that every atom in you once existed as a star. So you're literally the cosmos remembering itself. So what you are going through when you embody is the divine remembering what it feels like to be human. Someone type transform. Come on. Somebody type transform. This is what happens. This is what happens. And of course, it's going to be hard to actually acknowledge this. Like everything, when you're born again, you're a baby. So it takes time to use your legs, Diane. It takes time to know how to breathe. It takes time to learn how to speak. Remember, when you were in middle school, you were the biggest kid until you went to high school and you were the youngest kid. And then when you were a senior in high school, you were the oldest kid until you went to college and became a freshman or freshwoman. Do you see the game? That's what born again is like. You've been reborn and you don't know what to do. Stop pretending like you do. And that's how you start to remember that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. I just said something. So here we stand. Here we stand at the threshold of the embodied age. You know, the embodied age, Damalgam. The embodied age, Trey Smith. Cat. The embodied age, which is often referred to as the age of Aquarius, some call it. If you're into New Age mythology, it is also called Kali Yuga, the ending of the Dark Age, if you're Hindu. And the Christians call it the Revelation times. And I'm sure there are corollaries in Islam, in Judaism, in Baha'i, because truth is truth. When consciousness descends fully into form, the body becomes a cathedral of light. DNA, because DNA is how trauma is passed on through your junk DNA. That 144,000 strands of junk DNA is the same number, 144,000 of the chosen represented in the Revelations, the book of Revelations. So when consciousness descends fully into form, the body becomes a cathedral of light. DNA becomes scripture, and the breath, prayer. And every heartbeat becomes a sound of creation continuing. Truth is truth. This is not theory. This is the future of humanity already pulsating in you, whether you know it or not. You're going to see your neighbors, family members burning metaphorically. Whilst peace and joy happens to you, it wouldn't make sense. By their fruits shall they be known. That's the difference between embodying and bypassing. So breathe. Feel, and anchor heaven into your cells. Because when you do, right now, Kayla, when you do, reality itself begins to remember what love, that word feels like. This is the purpose of incarnation. This is the purpose of your destiny as an embodied soul. Not that spreadsheet you're working on, not that dashboard you're looking at, not that gossip you're just having. This is the final alchemy, which is to begin to feel the experience that this avatar has as the divine having a physical experience. That's why I always say there's 8 billion of us, but only one truth. Hence, one love. Hence, non-duality. So when you embody is the beginning of realizing that you are the divine in flesh. And if you haven't done this, what I'm saying to you just sounds like rhetoric and theory. But if you know what I'm talking about, type transform the comment section. Let me know why I want with you. Do you see? This is the whole point of embodiment. And we spend this whole week talking about bypassing embodiment. It's not something we will do all the time, but this week we have. Because so many people think that repetition is embodiment. No, repetition is not. Repetition is just repetition. If you're sitting and meditating every day, but you're not looking at your shadows, that's just repetition. Embodiment is when you begin to ask about the truth of why you feel the way you are. Why what happened to you happened to you. Thank you, Janet, April, Terry. This is how you know. This is how you begin to connect to truth. Bridget, this is how it works. It's as simple as that. So when you are in any scenario that forces you to gaslight yourself, that's bypassing. When you are in a scenario that is not talking about truth, that's bypassing. When you're not telling yourself the truth about your situation, about your finances, about the things you care about, that's bypassing. When you're digging your head in the ground to avoid what's happening around you, the ostrich approach, that's bypassing. When you pretend, that's bypassing. When you don't tell yourself the truth, that's bypassing. When you don't ask yourself the question, why? That's bypassing. And the longer you bypass, the more you remain trapped in the hell realm of, I'm just a human being. And if that's your choice, remember, you are the author and creator of your reality. Only you can decide that's for you, and you create that reality. Maybe the divine wants to experience what it's like to be blind. But if you're looking to awaken to truth, you cannot awaken to truth without telling yourself the truth. That's embodiment. Ellie Wynn, all of us have serious bypassing skills. All of us, Ellie, until we get tired of bypassing, because bypassing doesn't feel good. Bypassing might give you a temporary sense of comfort, but it's always knowing at the back of your head that there's something to be done. Whereas embodiment feels complete. With embodiment, you don't have to look over your shoulder. You see? So this is the message today. This is the message, family, that when you embody, you actually come to the truth of who you are, which is a divine being having a human experience. And what's a human experience? What it means to touch, what it means to feel, what it means to intuit. That's all it is. That's the divine having fun with 8 billion. It's as simple as that. So if I can be of help to you, book a free session with me one-on-one, and I'll tell you the truth at innermileage.com. Some people have told me that the one-on-one conversations are more powerful than even these group dynamics. So come on in. And we don't have to work together, but I'll tell you the truth. If there's resonance, we work together. If there isn't, I'll tell you the truth. Innermileage.com. You can also check out my course on narcissistic abuse, or escaping narcissistic abuse, more specifically, at innermileage.com, if that's more accessible to you. But again, this is the truth. You cannot ascend without embodiment. That's why you see people who seem like they've been practicing forever, but they're not getting anywhere. It's because they don't embody. And you don't want that to be you. So whatever you do today, just find a way to tell yourself the truth. The truth. Why does this feel pleasant? Why does this feel difficult? Why am I sad? Why am I happy? Why do I have this habit? Why do I have this addiction? And when you start with a simple question, who am I? And here I'm channeling, thank you, Diane, I'm channeling the great sage Ramana Maharshi, that the only primordial question that matters is who am I? Who am I? That's the depth of self-inquiry. Nobody can tell you, Ellie, who am I? And when you begin to crack that code of who am I, you realize that the only validation you needed came from you. That's why you were targeted by narcissists, because your validation to them was sweet nectar. Pure nectar, nectar, nectar. You heard? Give that nectar to I and I, Diane. It's all within us. So that's the message for today, family. That's the message for today. That is the message for today. And apologies for those that I had technical difficulties with on Instagram. I'll be back in my regular space on Monday. So all things being equal, we can do that. But here it is. You said it's sweet nectar of your own feeling. It's like the breath. When you breathe deeply, you feel that sweetness within you. You see? So I want to send you lots of love, lots of healing, and reach out to me if you have any questions at nana@innermileage.com or book a free session at innermileage.com. Or you can check out my courses. We're in this together, fam. Or just keep coming to the lives. That's also instructed. Live free. I love that you said I and I. Love that, live free. Kiki, you're amazing. So family, this is the message, yes? Big up yourselves, celebrate yourselves, and it doesn't matter if you're still entrapped. Know that joy comes in the morning, but that morning joy comes from celebrating even if you're still in hell. Because celebrating whilst you're in hell is what gets you out of hell. Celebrating whilst you are in hell is what gets you out of hell. Celebrating whilst you are in hell is what gets you out of hell. Celebrating whilst you are in hell is what gets you out of hell. Celebrating whilst you are in hell is what gets you out of hell. Celebrating whilst you are in hell is what gets you out of hell. Celebrating whilst you are in hell is what gets you out of hell. Celebrating whilst you are in hell is what gets you out of hell. And you stand tall like a mountain, like a warrior. I have spoken, and you have received. And for that, I send my deep gratitude. One love. See you again on Monday, yes? One love. Peace. See you again on Monday. Blessed love. We're in this together. Thank you so much. I am because you are. We're in this together. One love. So much gratitude. Loveful heights. Peace. Yeah. Peace.